Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Nashtaprayashu Bhatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavatir Naishtaki. Today we will be speaking from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, Chapter 9, Verse 6, the creation of the fourth order. And this is the first part of the Dhruva Stuti that is found in Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's made up of 12 verses in glorification of the Lord. So just doing a recap here very quickly. Dhruva Maharaj has been performing tapasya, has been performing austerities to get the audience of the Lord as a 5-year-old boy, and he's been doing it for about 6 months. And by becoming pleased, the Lord personally appeared. In fact, Acharyas have said that the Lord didn't come to give darshan to Dhruv, but rather the Lord appeared to get the darshan of his devotee. Because Dhruva Maharaj is a pure soul, so he came to do the darshan of his own devotee. So when the Lord appeared, and Dhruva Maharaj saw Krishna first in his heart, before that he saw it in his heart, and then he saw the Lord in front of him standing, and he was completely lost. Being a 5-year-old child, has no knowledge, hasn't had any formal education whatsoever, no vocabulary, he doesn't know anything, and no spiritual knowledge at that time. So he said, I just don't know, Lord, what to speak. So you do please do something. And then Krishna touched his forehead with his conch shell, and immediately he started praying to Krishna, and immediately his intelligence grew. So all the Vedic knowledges got imparted to him by the touch of the Lord's conch shell. And thereafter, Dhruva Maharaj was able to compose beautiful prayers in glorification of the Lord. So the verse is Dhruva Uvacha Yonta Pravishya Mama Vacham Imam Prasuptam Sanjeevayatyakila Shaktidhara Swadhamna Anyamscha Hasta Charana Shravanatvagadin Pranan Namo Bhagavate Purushaya Tubhyam. Anyone would like to recite this verse?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I am trying.
Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Yanta pravishya mama vachamimam prasuptam sanjeevayati akhila shaktidharaha sadhamana anyamscha hasta charana shavana tagadin pranan namo bhagavate purushaya tubhyam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else like to recite this?
Prabhuji, I am trying.
Yes, sure.
Yayanta pravishya mama vachapimam prasuptam sanjeevayati akhila shaktidhara sadhamna annamscha hasta charana stavana tagadin pranam namo bhagavate purushaya tubhyam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
I am trying.
Yes, Mataji.
Dhruva uvacha ye anita prabhishya mama vacham imam prashuptam sanjeevayati akhila shakti dharaha sadhamana annayamscha hasta charana shravana tyaga adin pranam namo bhagavate purushaya tubhyam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Anyone else? No? Okay. Yontah pravishya mama vachamimam prasuptam sanjeevayatyakila shaktidhara swadhamna anyam cha hasta charana shravanatvagadin Pranan namo bhagavate purushaya tubhyam. Dhruva uvacha. Dhruva Maharaj said, Yah, the Supreme Lord, who, Antaha, within, Pravishya, entering, Mama, my, Vacham, words, Imam, all these, Prasuptam, which are all inactive or dead, Sanjivayati, rejuvenates, Akhila, universe, soul, Shakti, energy, Dharaha, possessing, Swadhamna, by his internal potency, Anyancha, other limbs also, Hasta, like hands, Charana, legs, Shravana, ears, Tvak, skin, Adin, and so on. Pranan, life force, Namaha, let me offer my obeisances, Bhagavate, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Purushaya, the Supreme Person, Tubhyam, unto you. Translation. Dhruva Maharaj said, My dear Lord, you are all powerful. After entering within me, you have enlivened all my sleeping senses. My hands, my legs, ears, touch sensation, life force, and especially my power of speech. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you. We'll go into the purport. Purpose by His Divine Geshe Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. Dhruva Maharaj could understand very easily the difference between his condition before and after attaining spiritual realization and seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. He could understand that his life force and activities had been sleeping. Unless one comes to the spiritual platform and his bodily limbs, mind, and other facilities within the body are understood to be sleeping. Unless one is spiritually situated, all his activities are taken as dead men's activities, all ghastly activities. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has composed a song in which he addresses himself, O living entity, get up. How long shall you sleep on the lap of Maya? Now you have that opportunity of possessing a human form of body. Now try to get up and realize yourself. The Vedas also declare, get up, uttishta, uttishta. You have the opportunity, the boon of the human form of life. Now realize yourself. These are the Vedic injunctions. Dhruva Maharaj actually experienced that upon enlightenment of his senses on the spiritual platform, he could understand the essence of Vedic instruction, that the Supreme Godhead is the Supreme Person. He is not impersonal. Dhruva Maharaj could immediately understand this fact. He was aware that for a very long time he was practically sleeping. And he felt the impetus to glorify the Lord according to the Vedic conclusion. A mundane person cannot offer any prayer or glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he has no realization of the Vedic conclusion. Therefore, when Dhruva Maharaj found this difference within himself, he could immediately understand that it was because of the causeless mercy of the Lord. He offered obeisances to the Lord with great respect and reverence, completely understanding that the Lord's favor was upon him. The spiritual enlivenment of Dhruva Maharaj's senses and mind was due to the action of the internal potency of the Lord. In this verse, therefore, the word Swadhamna means by spiritual energy. Spiritual enlightenment is possible by the mercy of the spiritual energy of the Lord. The chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is first addressed to the spiritual energy of the Lord Hari. This spiritual energy acts when a living entity fully surrenders and accepts his position as an eternal servitor. When a person places himself at the disposal or order of the Supreme Lord, that is called Sevan Mukha. At that time, the spiritual energy gradually reveals the Lord to himself. Without revelation of the spiritual energy, one is unable to offer prayers glorifying the Lord. Any amount of philosophical speculation or poetic expression by mundane persons is still considered to be the action and reaction of the material energy. When one is actually enlivened by the spiritual energy, all his senses become purified, and he engages only in the service of the Lord. At that time, his hands, legs, ears, tongue, and mind, genitals, everything engage in the service of the Lord. Such an enlightened devotee no longer has any material activities, and nor has he any interest in being materially engaged. This process of purifying the senses and engaging them in the service of the Lord is known as bhakti, or devotional service. In the beginning, the senses are engaged by the direction of the spiritual master and Shastra. And after realization, when the same senses are purified, the engagement continues. The difference is that in the beginning, the senses are engaged in a mechanical way, but after realization, they are engaged in spiritual understanding. It's a nice purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktichara Swamniti Namine. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Tamal Krishna Goswamiti Namine. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Dishtarini Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Hakadam Ashim Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Guroshrat Padkamlam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrayatam Jaganala Gurathanvatam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sakana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamshra Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shradvaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare. So this is very nice prayer by Dhruva Maharaj, the first verse of the Dhruva Stuti. From this we understand, from Prabhupada's purport, and Prabhupada explains that the Lord is almost most powerful. In fact, Dhruva Maharaj says this, and the word powerful is one of the qualities, one of the opulences of the Supreme Lord. The six opulences, wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation, all in fullness measure are designated by the word Bhagwan. So Bhagwan actually means one who possesses all these opulences, and the powerful power is one of them. Strength. The Lord is all powerful, and it is described in Vishnu Puran. And in the Bhishma Stuti, Bhishma Dev also says the same thing, glorifying the Lord. He says, "Let me invest my thinking, feeling, and willing, which were so long engaged in different subjects and occupational duties, in all the powerful Lord Shri Krishna. He is always self-satisfied, but sometimes, being the leader of the devotees, he enjoys transcendental pleasure by descending to the material world, although from him only the material world is created." It's very nice, Tuti. Iti matirupa kalpita vitrishna bhagavati sattvata pungave vibhumni swasukhamupagate kvachit viharatum prakritimupeyushi yad bhava pravaha. Beautiful. So many beautiful verses in Srimad Bhagavatam. And again, in the purport Prabhupada in Srimad Bhagavatam of purport of 111.7, Prabhupada explained that the whole personality of Godhead, being the creator of the universe, also plans for the good of all good living beings. The good living beings are advised by the Lord to follow his good advice, and by doing so, they become successful in all spheres of life. There is no need to worship any deity but the Lord. The Lord is all powerful, and if he is satisfied by our obeisance unto his lotus feet, he is competent to bestow upon us all kinds of blessings for the successful execution of both our material and spiritual lives. And then one of the points in the verse is that the Supreme God is Supreme Person. So Prabhupada explained this is the essence of the Vedic instruction. And this is the what we find in other Vedic scriptures, that the Supreme Lord is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is found in Padma Puran, Skand Puran, and Linga Puran. Lord Sarva Shastrani Vicharya cha Puna Puna Idam Ekam Swanispannam Theyo Narayana Sada. By scrutinizingly reviewing all the revealed scriptures and judging them again and again, it is now concluded that Lord Narayan is a supreme absolute truth, and thus he alone should be worshipped. There's another nice, beautiful verse from Harivamsha Purana as well, which says, Vede Ramayane Chaiva Purane Bharate Tatha Adavante Chamadhye Cha Hari Sarvatra Giyate. In the Vedic literatures, including the Ramayana, Puranas, and Mahabharata, from the very beginning, Adav, to the end, Ante, as well as within the middle, Ante, only Hari, Supreme Personality of God, is explained. This is also explained by Srila Madhvacharya. Srimad Madhvacharya in his Nava Prameys mentions Harihi Parataraha. Hari is a Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in the end, he says, Akhilam Nayeka Vidyo Harihi. Hari is the hero in all the Vedic literatures. He is a Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these are so many innumerable verses in the different Puranas and Vedic scriptures which glorify the Lord as a Supreme Person. Just I thought I'll share a couple of them with you. Now, also one point that Srila Prabhupada makes is in his purport is that God is not impersonal. Impersonalism was generally propagated by Adi Shankaracharya, but again he did that on the instruction of the Supreme Lord. In the first verse of his Vivek Churaman, he explained that Krishna himself is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and same thing in his other compositions. In fact, there's a story that when his mother was on her deathbed, she asked Shankaracharya to give her spiritual instruction. And Shankaracharya started speaking about Mayavad and Lord is Nirakar and impersonal and all of different things. And then his mother said, No, I don't want that. I want you to hear. I want you to give me that you internally meditate on, the person you meditate on. And then thereafter, Shankaracharya composed, recited Krishnashtakam. Praise, glorify the beautiful form of Krishna. And by that, he actually gave her mother darshan of the Supreme Lord. So internally, Shankaracharya was a Vaishnava because he was Lord Shiva himself. But he did that in the instruction of the Supreme Lord. Because at that time it was necessary. Unfortunately, this Mayavad philosophy has crept into the philosophy that's known today as Hinduism. Generally that's what people think. But the Vaishnava Acharyas, the four Vaishnava Acharyas and Sampradayas, they all accept the Lord as a personal form. The Lord has a Satchidananda Roop, form that is eternal, blissful, spiritual body, full of eternal knowledge and bliss. There's a description. It also says that the Lord actually has both personal and impersonal forms simultaneously. The Supreme Lord is original form of the Lord, and the impersonal feature is just an emanation of his reflection of his transcendental body, which is called Brahma Jyoti. And ignorance is the back of the Lord, and therefore the ignorance of the less intelligent class of men is also separate from his bodily conception. Since his body is a complete whole of everything, that is, one cannot assert that he is impersonal only. So in this way, there's a story that when Muhammad was taken over to the seventh heaven, seventh heaven, I think it is, or upper planetary system, and he had the opportunity to speak to Allah. There was a veil in between him and Allah, and because of the vast bodily effulgence of Allah, he could not see Allah. So he asked Allah to show him his form. Allah said, "You cannot see my form, but what I can do, I can show you my back." And he reduced that effulgence of his back, and he could see that actually that color of that form resembled that of the sky, which is bluish. And also in this Quran, it mentions that Mustafa, which is Moses, he also saw the Lord as a young boy in the bushes when he was taken up to the spiritual world. So, but because he saw the back, generally they are fully ignorant of the actual form of the Lord. But those are fortunate enough to have the view of the front of the Lord. They realize that the Lord has a personal feature. So those who have the view of the Lord from the back realize him as impersonal feature only. But those who see it from the front, they accept that the Lord has a personal feature. Now, without being spiritually situated, without Krishna, we are living dead. It's another point in Bhagavatam. Now, we can see people walk and talk, but if they're not with Krishna, they're simply like dead people walking. This is the point Srila Prabhupada is making. Srila Prabhupada introduces principle in our lives, without him, we could have completely been destroyed today. We're so grateful to him. He came and gave us this transcendental touch, knowledge, and because of that, we understand what is devotional service. So wherever Prabhupada went, or wherever Krishna is established, those places have become places of pilgrimage. It's all by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. And wherever is Krishna, it becomes glorious. If Krishna comes into our lives, then our lives also become glorious. Otherwise, it is like we are dead. In order to reduce this living death, we have to come to Krishna. It's a very important point, and that we have to come to Krishna. Without Krishna, we are simply dead. If there's a dead man, someone, in India, if someone dies and they take him to the Samshan Ghat and they say Ram Nam Satya, Ram Nam Satya, which means Ram names is truth. But have you ever seen a dead man waking up? No, because the dead is dead. It's not chanting the name of the Lord. And if we're not engaging ourselves in the service of the Lord, then we are simply dead. And spiritual enlightenment is only possible by the mercy of the spiritual energy of the Lord. The entire material cosmic manifestation is only a combination of two different energies, the spiritual and superior spiritual energy and the inferior material energy. Just as the sunshine is spread all over the universe, the energy of the Lord is spread all over the creation and everything resting in that energy. The spiritual energy acts when a living entity fully surrenders and accepts his position as an eternal servitor of the Lord. Very important point here. And as confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati Yavan Yas Chasmi Tattvataha. One can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead through devotional service only. And when we are engaged in the Lord's devotional service, the spiritual energy gradually reveals the Lord to us. This is a very important point, when we engage in his devotional service, then the spiritual energy gradually reveals the Lord to us. This is in Srimad Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela. It's a nice verse from Padma Puran. Antah Shri Krishna Namadina Bhavet Grahyam Indriyai Sevan Mukhe Hi Jihvado Swayam Eva Suratyadaha. Therefore, material senses cannot appreciate Krishna's holy name, form, qualities, and pastimes. When a conditioned soul is awakened to Krishna consciousness and renders service by using his tongue to chant the Lord's holy name and taste the remnants of the Lord's food, the tongue is purified and one gradually comes to understand who Krishna really is. So there's a nice prayer here as well from Lord Brahma in Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto, where he says, "One whose heart has become completely purified by my Lord can understand the transcendental qualities of your Lordship and can understand the greatness of your activities." So by doing devotional service, by chanting the holy names, by taking prasadam, our hearts become purified. And when our hearts become purified, only then we're able to understand the Supreme Lord. And this can only happen by the spiritual energy of the Lord. And, of course, by the mercy of the spiritual master. Krishna is not the object of mind and intelligence. That's a nice point. So, only thing we want is the continuous service of the Lord. That's it. That's nothing else. This is what Mahavishnu Maharaj used to say. This is all we have to ask for: is continuous service of Krishna. Now, we should never think if we are spiritually progressing or not. Mahavishnu Maharaj used to say, thinking means the mind comes in, and thinking is the process which definitely belongs to the mind. Thinking separates us from Krishna. As soon as you stop thinking, you are with Krishna. It's actually true. A lot of times we think, this and that, but if you completely stop thinking about how am I doing spiritually, all of that, this Maharaj used to say that stop about finding about how am I chanting or not. Just stop and just simply chant. This is one I think he says quite nicely in his lectures. Thinking is on the material level. As soon as you skip your mind and intelligence, then you are with Krishna. And Krishna is not the object of mind and intelligence. Mind and intelligence are material. Krishna and his fame, name, qualities, and paraphernalia cannot be materially understood. Unless one is advanced in spiritual life, one cannot see Krishna. Therefore, the ability to see Krishna depends on Krishna's mercy. When we chant, we should only chant, and that's it. Never think that whether my chanting is all right or not. Don't overthink, just simply chant. Make every effort to chant nicely. And when you chant, then the Lord is dancing on your tongue. By the mercy of the Lord, he reveals himself to us. And as soon as the thinking comes, you become materialist. As soon as you stop thinking, then you are very much linked with Krishna. 7th point is be touched by Krishna and become enlivened. So as soon as we are touched by Krishna Katha, our everything becomes enlivened. Yontaha pravishya. Pravishya means enter. It's the first line of the verse. And please, somehow or the other, you enter. This is what Prahlad Maharaj is saying. Dhruva Maharaj is saying. Where? Vacham, in my speech. Maharaj keeps reciting the verse repeatedly and enjoys it very much. This is a point that the Mahavishnu Maharaj has made all the time. It keep reciting such verses, and it's very enjoyable. And he says, "My vacha is sleeping. My speech is sleeping at the moment. So you please enter into it." After attaining knowledge of the meaning of the Vedas from the Lord, he praised him. And he understood that the Lord has made all his senses spiritual. Appreciating the incomparable and unconditional mercy of the Lord, he offers obeisances or respects with astonishment. He says, your Chit Shakti have brought to life the power speaking in me. Now your servant, so that I can describe your form, qualities, and activities. What speech? That speech has until now been sleeping as if dead. From now on, you should put to sleep or destroy that power of speech which is awake in describing material enjoyment of eating and drinking. It's a very nice point here, actually. Prahlad Dhruva Maharaj is saying that you've enlivened my speech, my entire existence. But indirectly, he's also saying, you please put to sleep or destroy the power of speech, which only describes material enjoyment of eating and drinking. That is nothing to do with you. Not only my power of speaking has changed, he says, but you have engaged my hands and feet in your service. Sleeping tongue will wake up by tasting Krishna. So when it says Krishna enter in my vacha, in my speech, then what happens? It's described in the second line, which is very nicely. Sanjivayati akila shakti dhara swadhamna. Sanjivati means rejuvenate. So Shukracharya had this Sanjivani mantra. Sanjivani means to get people back to life. And when the demigods and the demons used to fight, the demigods would kill the demons in Devasur Sangram. But Shukracharya would go to the battlefield, and all of those dead demons would come to life because of the Sanjivani mantra. He would use the Sanjivani mantra and get all of them to life, just like he did to Bali Maharaj. So this is also Supta Vacha. As soon as Krishna enters, Sanjivati comes to life. So our senses comes to life, which is at the moment sleeping. And as soon as you take Krishna on your tongue becomes lively. Sanjivati rejuvenates. Shakti Dharaha means the source of the energy is Krishna. Krishna's name is Shakti Dharaha, one who possesses all the Shakti energy. So simply by chanting his holy names, as I say, the tongue becomes lively and we become rejuvenated. So dhamna means through your internal potency, you have got that energy which enters into our tongue and forces us to become lively. Otherwise, our tongue is completely sleeping always. Many times talking nonsense. A lot of times we speak nonsense things. But when we start chanting Krishna's holy names, then taste develops and we stop talking nonsense. So this should stop immediately. Nonsense speaking should stop immediately, and instead we should engage our senses, particularly our vacha, in praying to Krishna. That somehow or the other, you please sit on my tongue. Sit on my tongue, dance on my tongue, and in that way we get the Lord to rejuvenate our senses. With Krishna, everything becomes lively. When Krishna is there in our lives, then everything becomes lively. In the third line, the Maharaj says that not only my vacha, but as soon as you enter into my existence, then anyamscha, something else also becomes lively. What is it? Hasta, charana, shravana, tvak, adhin. Hasta means hands. Charan means feet. Shravan means ears. Tvak means skin. Adhin means all other things. So he says, my hands are dead. And as soon as you enter into us, my hands have become lively. This is how we should be thinking. My Lord, my hands are dead. As soon as you enter into us, my hands become lively. So it's interesting to see that before Dhruva Maharaj was always thinking that he was completely no knowledge, he had nothing, didn't know how to compose prayers, had no idea of what the Supreme Lord was. But it's the situation, it's interesting how the whole situation changed. It's just a short moment of time that by the mercy of the Lord, who had no knowledge how to glorify the Lord, starts speaking profusely. And that's because of the Vedic knowledge that was imparted, and also by the spiritual energy of the Lord and by the mercy of the Lord. And Charan, my legs are also become lively when I walk in the temple or wherever you are, wherever you stay. So we should engage our legs, going to the temple, going to pilgrimage and all these different devotional activities. That is why we as devotees attract, as magnets attract pieces of iron. Pieces of iron pieces are helplessly going to the magnet. So, we don't want to go, but we have to go. That is called vivasha. Helplessly they are attracted. So they can't keep away. That should be our nature. Can't keep away from temple. Can't keep away from serving, going to the devotee's house. Can't keep away from going to the dham. We should engage our legs in such way. That is we should not be able to stay away from Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is a magnet and we are iron pieces. A very nice example given by Mahavishnu Maharaj. So iron pieces are attracted to the magnet. Nobody has to tell them, hey, come on, get up. No. As soon as the magnet is there, the iron pieces will run, basically get attached to the magnet. In the same way, we should always be willing to get attracted to Srimad Bhagavatam, and by reading, hearing Harikatha, develop that the love for the Supreme Lord. Ultimately, that's the goal, love for Krishna. So Dhruva Maharaj said, as soon as you've come in my life, my hands have become lively, my legs have become lively, my hasta, charan, my ears, everything has become lively. My skin is also lively. And then everything, etc. means, adhin means, etc. Everything else has become lively. And then one more, he says in the last, is prana, which is my life air, also becomes very lively. As soon as I come to you, the whole existence becomes very lively. Prana namo bhagavate purushaya tubhyam. Very nice prayer in the end. And all these prayers are beautiful. The life without Krishna is ghost life. Unless we chant Krishna's holy names, or unless we discuss about him, it is very difficult to become lively. Prabhupada says we are like dead people. So our prayer should always be, please, my Lord, we are forgetting you, but you have to enter into our existence so that we become lively. We can become lively. This is a very nice prayer we should always make. On our own, I have no ability. But only when you enter into our life, then our life becomes successful. In relation to this, very nice story about Ramanujacharya and one of his disciples. So Ramanujacharya every day used to give Bhagavad Katha. And every day all his disciples sit in front. And one of his disciples, who was not literate at all, he would sit right at the back. And he would speak Harikatha, and he would see everyone's engaged in listening. And he would see a disciple who was sitting right at the back, who was not literate at all, listening attentively. And one day, all his disciples came, but this disciple who was not literate, who used to sit all the time at the back and listen, did not arrive. So Ramanujacharya did not start the class. So all the disciples said, Gurudev, please start. We are all here now. Ramana said, no, I'm just waiting for someone else. So he said, who? Yeah, he was asked who, and then I said, this particular devotee. After some time, this devotee came, but before that, his disciple said, no, why are we waiting for him? He's not literate. He doesn't understand anything, and everything must be going over his head. And he didn't say anything. Ramanujacharya didn't say a word. And then after the disciple came, the disciple said, I had trouble crossing the river today because of the flood. So that's the reason why I got late. So anyway, after that, Ramanujacharya started the class, and then everyone's attentively hearing the katha. And in the end, Ramanujacharya commanded his disciple, the disciple who was literate, to speak on glories of the Lord. And immediately he started composing verses after verses, speaking profusely, glorifying the Lord. And everyone was amazed, like, wow, how is it possible? I mean, this guy is not even, hasn't studied grammar, Vyakaran, Sanskrit, nothing whatsoever. But that displays that by the mercy of the Guru, by the mercy of the Lord, one can glorify the Lord without any difficulty. By the mercy of the Guru. Pangum Langhete Kirim, we hear from the scriptures that even a handicapped can climb mountains, and Mokam Karoti Vachalam. One who is not able to speak can speak by the mercy of the Lord and the Guru. So this is our prayer should be, please make our senses lively so that we can glorify you all the time. We can glorify you and your devotees, my dear Lord. Ordinary people behave as if they are haunted by ghosts always because they are attached to material things. So everyone's out there, hankering for all sorts of material things, buying houses and this and that. But how many of them actually are attracted to Krishna? Very small amount of people, because they didn't realize it. But the moment they get the mercy of the Lord, they'll give up. They'll give. I'm sure we all had initially when we started Krishna consciousness, when we started coming to the temple, got in touch with devotees. We all had some sort of material attachments. We were, and I'm sure. I'm saying we may still have them, but that has been diverted more towards Krishna now as we develop, as we increase our reading, hearing, and chanting. Then those material desires, material attachment starts going down, and our attachment for Krishna becomes more intense, more closer. And that's the idea. That is what we should be doing. Ultimately, that's the goal. So we are all materially attached, but we are attached some more than the material things. Our lives are not materially haunted because we are doing, somehow connected to Krishna. So our lives are not materially haunted, just like the ordinary the people who are not attached to Krishna. Because Krishna provides everything. There's no harm in having material things. But we know that when we have a big house, we use that house for Krishna. We organize programs. We invite devotees to our house for prasadam. And all sorts of things. Do namahata and all that. So there's nothing wrong. We have a nice car. We use that for taking devotees around, spiritual masters around. So there's nothing wrong with that. But ultimately, Krishna provides us, and our material attachment becomes diminished, as I said earlier, when we come closer to Krishna. And Krishna gives more to the Vaishnavas, more than others. And devotees are not attached to any of the material things. That's why lives are not haunted by ghosts. And if you come to Krishna, your life will be very sublime. And finally, So finally, but this is the point Prabhupada is making, that when we offer prayers in glorification of the Lord, we attract His mercy, we attract Him. Then in the Nrsimha Purana, it is stated that any person who comes before the deity of Krishna and begins to chant different prayers is immediately relieved from all reactions of sinful activities and becomes eligible without any doubt to enter into the Vaikuntha Lok. We shall all pray to Krishna that we are weak and Maya is very strong. So please, we should seek His protection at every step, so Maya may not inflict us with a trident injury. So if one continues to offer such personal prayers to Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is eligible to become a pure devotee and return back to Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam has got innumerable prayers, such prayers, Dhruva Stuti, Bhishma Stuti, Kunti Stuti, and you name it. The prayers by the gopis, Rudra Geet, name it. We should recite those beautiful prayers, and those prayers can be sung in such a nice way that by simply reciting those prayers, we can attract the Lord. I mean, of course, we have no ability to compose such prayers, but simply following, offering prayers, the Lord becomes extremely pleased. This is what Rupa Goswami mentions in Sri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. No amount of chosen words are sufficient to enumerate the Lord's glory. He is satisfied by such prayer, just as a father is satisfied even by the broken linguistic attempts of a growing son. It doesn't matter whether we make mistakes, the Lord understands. Of course, we should endeavor to recite those prayers nicely. But if there's mistakes here and there, that's perfectly fine. The Lord understands. We should sing prayers by previous acharyas, Mahajans, so many beautiful Sanskrit prayers, so many songs have been written by the acharyas like Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Recite them. And it has got so much spiritual power. And then, all throughout the Vedas, it says you must constantly glorify the Lord. Remember and worship Him. This is a very nice verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Tasmad ekeda manasa bhagavan sattvatam patihi shrotavyah kirtitavyascha deya pujayascha nityada. Therefore, with one pointed attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is protector of the devotees. In the similar verses found also in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.1.5, Tasmad Bharat Sarvatma Bhagwan Ishvaro Hari. O descendant of King Bharat, one who desires to be free from all miseries must hear about, glorify, and also remember the Personality of Godhead, who is the Super Soul, the controller and the savior of all miseries. And again, similar verses found later on in Srimad Bhagavatam, Tasmat Sarvatma Rajan Hari Sarvatra Sarvada. O King, it is therefore essential that every human being, hear about, glorify, and remember the Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead, always and everywhere. And the same thing in Bhagavan Krishna, Lord Krishna says, always think of me and become my devotee, worship me and offer your commission to me. Thus you'll come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my dear friend. Then in the Skanda Puran, glories of the prayers are stated as follows. Devotees whose tongues are decorated always with prayers to Lord Krishna are always given respect, even by the great saintly persons and sages, and such devotees are actually worshipable by the demigods. So in summary, the Lord is all-powerful. The Supreme Lord, Godhead, is a Supreme Person. He is not impersonal. Without spiritual situation, without Krishna, we are living dead. Spiritual enlightenment possible is only possible by the mercy of the Lord's spiritual energy. And Krishna is not the object of mind and intelligence. Be touched by Krishna and become enlightened. Sleeping tongue will wake up by tasting Krishna, Krishna Prasad, Krishna Katha, Krishna Nam. And when Krishna enters into our life, then everything becomes lively. And life without Krishna is a ghost life. Finally, always offer praise and glorification to the Lord to attract His causeless mercy. This is a summary. I'll end here now. Anyone has got any points they would like to make?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you for the detailed and insightful class. It was quite a long purport, but you have broken it down into sizable portions for us to contemplate and understand. Thank you very much. We will open to the floor for devotees to ask any questions or share their comments or any realizations.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. It's a very, very, very nice class. That one point I attracted by that magnet, the comparison of the magnet of Srimad Bhagavatam and how we attract to the temple. It's very nice discussion. But one point I am not clear, that 6, Krishna is not the object of mind and intelligence. If you enlighten in this point, please.
Well, Mahavishnu Maharaj says that we shouldn't be thinking about Krishna on the material platform. We should always think Krishna on the spiritual platform. When we bring in the mind intelligence, then we are not spiritually situated. We are materially situated. He's always made a point, don't think too much. Just render the service. Just chant the holy names. Don't think about how I'm doing, how my devotional life is. When you forget about thinking all of these things, forget engaging your mind, and just simply engage in the service, then Krishna becomes, enlivens us. Does it make sense?
Okay, so we'll not think about the result, right?
Don't forget, and that's what Krishna says. Don't worry about results. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, just continue doing the service. Karmanyavadikaraste mahaphaleshu kadachana. Don't worry about the results. Just continue doing the service.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, thank you very much for this lecture so enlivened. It has not only by hearing only we have been enlivened. It's not that we are like Maharaj. We have Dhruva Maharaj. We have been enlivened by seeing him, but your lecture has enlivened us so nicely. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. And I have one small question, Prabhuji. You have mentioned, I mean, we know from various Prabhupada's lecture and all that the effulgence, the Brahma is the effulgence from the body of the Brahma. For the Lord. But you have told that in the backside of sees that. And what is the source for that? If you just enlighten.
This is what I think Prabhupada mentions one of his verses, that the non-devotees, they're to the back of the Lord.
Okay.
And because the back is always considered to be as an ignorance, and because of their ignorance, they always see that the Lord is impersonal. Brahmajyoti can be explained in a way that you've got a big halogen light, and from a distance you see a massive light. You see bright light.
Yeah.
But behind that light is actually the bulb from which this Brahmajyoti is coming. So this bulb is actually Krishna. But because we are seeing this bright light, we cannot understand that there is actually a source where it's coming from. So this is what the transcendentalists normally consider. They only see the light because they cannot go further. That there is actually a form of the Lord. So Nirakarvadis only stick to the Brahmajyoti, but they don't have this conception that there is actually a form of the Lord.
In fact, it is one of the. If you allow me, can I speak a bit on that? Yeah. Yes. The thing is that the Vadanti tattvavidas tattam jnanamadhyam brahmeti paramatmati bhagavaniti shabdate. So it has there Prabhupada is explained that the first one, these are the different conceptions, different consciousness, the way one can see the Lord. So it is the lowest form, in other words, the form, the lowest form of that understanding. And So is it that you're telling that those who are ignorant, I mean, they are in the least stage, they are seeing the bad side of the Lord?
Yes. So those who are, I mean, there's a different levels of realization, right?
Yeah.
You have the Hiranyagarbha, because those are transcendentalists. Then you have the yogis who realize the Paramatma aspect of the Lord, and then you have the devotees who realize the Bhagavan aspect of the Lord. So there's a three different levels of realization. As I said earlier, and Prabhupada mentions this, that the Lord has got a personal and impersonal feature.
Yeah.
But for those who are ignorant of the Lord, they only realize that up to that level. But with those who engage in devotional service, they go further and they realize the transcendental form of the Lord. You know?
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Anyone else?
So if there are no further questions, then we can bring the class to a close. Thank you so much, Prabhu, once again. Hope to see you more often on this platform. Vanchakalpatrupyascha.
कृपा सिंधु भयेवच पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। His Grace Hiranya Prabhu की जय।
Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gurudev ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.